Hi, friends. Hello. Happy Wednesday, hopefully. Happy midweek. Hopefully, you are having a gentle start to the week and a good week so far. And hopefully, wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon, happy time zone. I hope the weather's okay. I know some people are still dealing with snow and ice and all the things. And it is cold again in the Vancouver area, which is where I am. And last week or the week before, we kind of had our fake spring, which was really nice. Nice warm weather. Now we're back into cold, which is winter. And yeah, it's kind of, it is what it is. Dose of reality because it is winter. So that's Canadian weather for you. Hi, April. Good morning. Same weather story here. I know. It's just that it's a little tease, isn't it? Where you're like, oh, maybe it is spring. It's like you never learn. Yeah, in Calgary, right? Like, oh, it's brutal. I think last week I was outside in my hoodie. I was just putting on a hoodie, good to go, whatever. This week I'm definitely wearing my winter jacket and scarf and gloves. I had to dig those back out because, you never put them away. Hey, Karina. Yeah, -35 in Edmonton. Oh, man. And snow. Oh, yeah. You're like the East Coast, except you're not in the East Coast. You're like Toronto weather. Yeah, it's brutal. I am not jealous of the snow or the cold. I'm complaining about like just a little tad coldness here, which like I'm not complaining because it's totally fine, right? I'm good. It was icy yesterday for kind of like the first time in winter. Like we've had a pretty mild winter in British Columbia, and it was icy yesterday, and I was like, whoa, we need to. So of course there were slow drivers and just everyone kind of being like, yeah, it's this is our real dose of cold, freezing sort of weather, whereas rain is kind of our norm. So we go weeks and weeks and weeks of just rain, which is really gloomy. So it's kind of a nice change when it's sunny out, but it's cold. We're like, I'll take it. We had our fake spring for a couple of weeks here, and then yesterday winter again. Yeah, winter hits you hard, right? Like fake spring, and it's like you kind of get into it, and yeah, maybe I can just wear my sweater and stuff, and then it's like, no, winter. Psych. That's tough. Icy here too. Oh no, you got stuck coming home from a bookstore. Yeah, up those hills. That's tough. You shouldn't have gone to a bookstore in a blizzard. I disagree. You should go to a bookstore in any weather. No, I know it's we are kind of on a hill, like on a valley a little bit. But for us it's more so a lot of corners, right? So it's, you got to be careful going around corners, and hopefully it's not yeah, I don't know what that means, Zodiac Pens. Is 65F pretty okay? What's that in Celsius? But hopefully you're doing well, Bart. Bart, tell Karina about your planner situation. You have a planner. And are you're going to be at the California Pen Show, right, Bart? Which starts tomorrow? 20ish, I think. Oh, okay. That's not bad at all. That's actually really nice. That is spring. You're in spring already. Yeah, I think we're like, I think we got to -3 or 4, something like that yesterday. So it was icy and cold, but it's nothing compared to Edmonton or Toronto or Quebec. Ontario and Quebec. Yeah. Don't brag, right? Like, way to rub it in our faces. Whatever. I'll take the 20ish. You can take the cold weather if you want it, because I sure don't want it anymore. But it's okay. We'll deal with it, right? We survive. What else is new, friends? Are you going to the California Pen Show? Are you watching the Olympics? What are you up to? How was your weekend? How was your long weekend? I know not all the provinces in Canada have Family Day. It's a national holiday, but not all the provinces have that. But we had Monday off. And so the kids were home. We went out for brunch. It was really nice. It was a nice sort of long weekend in February, which I feel like it's such a long run from the holidays in December to like our next sort of long weekend or even spring, that having a long weekend in there is kind of nice just to get that time. Yes, you leave for CA tomorrow. Well, have a safe flight and have fun. We're going to miss you. You're going to miss us. I'm definitely going to feel FOMO. I've been to the California Pen Show for the last couple of years and really enjoyed it. That's also where I met Bart last year for the first time. It was such a great hangout and a great vibe, especially if you are sort of into the smaller to medium-sized pen shows. It's not as overwhelming as the SF Pen Show. But that being said, I saw the vendor list for this year at the California Pen Show, and it has definitely increased. So hopefully it doesn't feel too overwhelming or too... I know they're going to kind of stick vendors into corners and stuff. So hopefully it's okay. You're polishing pens today, last minute, of course. Bart. Hi, Pop Gal. How's it going? You're going to brag? You brag. You go ahead. Last year at this exact time, I was trapped in my house for an entire week. Oh my goodness. Yeah, last year this time, actually it was more closer to the start of February. We had snow, lots of it. So it's definitely warmer this year, which, you know, in the grand scheme of things, or, you know, in the bird's eye view, is not that great for us. To have warmth early on in the year. It means mosquito season is going to be hard. Mosquitoes are going to hit us. But yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, have an amazing time, everyone who's going. The moment your life began spiraling downward. Yeah, Zodiac, it's like, after I met Bart, it's pretty much like those, the ski jumps that we're seeing at the Olympics, just jumping off a cliff and hurling yourself downwards and hoping you land on your feet. It's been a ride. Bart's always last minute, but somehow he's got a table full of nice, beautiful, gorgeous pens, and everyone flocks to the table. So something works. I had to change my approach this year. No finished pens until right before the show. Yeah, is that a strategy? I like it. I mean, it's a little high pressure and anxiety inducing, but I'll take it. As long as you get done what you want to get done, right? And hopefully you have a really amazing show and have tons of fun. But a little less fun than you would have if, you know, Karina and I and Paul Palgal were there and all your other friends. Think of us. It isn't really a good thing as we grow a lot of crops. Yeah. The bugs, the water, like being able to reserve some water to last. We have wildfire season, of course, here in the West Coast. So rain actually does help us, but yeah. And like I said, mosquitoes, not a good thing if you have an early spring. Too many people want sneak peeks, pre-sale, and holds. No one sees the pens before tomorrow. Oh, yeah, I can imagine. Like, if you're showing off the pens that you're going to have at the show on Instagram and stuff, I can imagine people kind of be like, I want that one. Can I put it on hold? Or, yeah, so I get it. You'll have about 120 pens. Nice. Are you having a pen of the show or like a special pen? You don't have to tell us the details. Tell me the details. But are you having something special for the show? And also say hi to Kirk for us, since you're going to be neighbors. And if you are attending the California Pen Show, then take a look at this. I'm going to plug myself here for a second. Take a look at this Substack post that I wrote last year after I went to the California Pen Show. Was this last year? Yeah, 2025. And it's just about my experience, but also, tips and things like that, what to look out for. I think actually also at the, let's see if I can share the window. So that's the post. Just some tips and highlights and things like that. Oh, look, it's Gogsy. And Zodiac Penco. Oh, that was my haul. Oh, it's been a whole year. Wow. Oh, and then I also have a 2024 California Pen Show recap. This is actually probably also a really helpful post because in the 2024 recap, I actually put in tips and sort of like if this is your first pen show, what is a pen show, why go to it, etc., etc. I also have videos on YouTube you can check out. So hopefully, there's lots of content out there that you can find, and hopefully it's helpful. So there's a YouTube video as well. Hopefully it's helpful if it is your first time and you don't know what to expect. And yeah, you just kind of need, like when I went to my first pen show, I just needed, just some tips, some like what to look out for, or like what to sort of, what to look for, like how to sort of go to a pen show and make the most of it. Like, budget wise, what to try out, how to try pens, nib grinds. So if you're thinking about any of those things, there's lots of posts out there that are helpful. So take a look if you want. Well, if you watch my IG, I don't follow you on Instagram anymore, Bart. I'm just kidding. But honestly, Instagram is one of those platforms. They're constantly changing things, and I see less and less posts from friends and from people I actually want to see things, and a lot more ads and a lot more like just sort of suggested for me kind of stuff and whatever. So I try not to spend too much time on there, but I will take a look though. Don't worry. You actually have a few wildfires right now. That is not good. I hope those are dealt with. It can be, yeah, that's not good. Yeah, look at you. I have the drops of Jupiter that I'm unveiling for this show. Ooh, nice. So if you're going to the California Pen Show, definitely stop by the Zodiac Penco table. Take a look. And then tell me. Tell me what you think. The drops of Jupiter looked really great. Hi, Needle Girl. That's awesome. See, you have fans, Bart. You have us cheering you on, and I'm sure they look great. I'll take a look later. What else? On my end, I couldn't stream on Monday because of family day. It was a holiday, but I did want to stream today. So today we're going to do just currently inked. We're going to talk about pens because the California Pen Show's this weekend. I thought timing wise, it sort of makes sense to talk about fountain pens, custom grinds, nibs, things like that. So if you want to chat about, or you have questions about nibs and pen shows and stuff, throw them in the chat. There's lots of people in the chat that know lots more about pen shows and stuff than me, but definitely will be helpful. And last Thursday, I hosted a virtual workshop with Plaza Art, a retailer, as well as Tombow. And it was just to create a really cute, whimsical card with hand lettering and drawing flowers. And so I just kind of walked through basics of how to hand letter with a brush pen and also draw a few flowers, and we kind of drew a bouquet together. So if you weren't able to catch that live, they did repost, or they posted the replay on the Plaza Art YouTube channel. So I think I shared that on my YouTube channel as well as just like a text post. But if you wanted to see that, just something to watch and try out and have some creative time, then take a look at that. And then the last thing I'm going to plug in is, even though I didn't live stream on Monday, I did put up a new video on YouTube that just goes over how my planners and journals are working out for 2026, how I'm using them so far, what's working for me. And spoiler alert, they're all kind of working for me. I've adjusted a little bit on how I use them and the way they look, but lineup wise, I'm loving all the books that I'm using and all the notebooks that are keeping me organized and creative and functioning. So take a look at that if you haven't. It's just me doing sort of a flip through of my books and talking through them. So yeah, hopefully that's interesting. But I'm a fan of the pen. That's awesome. So we're going to do a notably inked spread. And if you've watched my streams where I do currently inked, I have a distinction between currently inked and notably inked, and how I sort of distinguish between those. And that might be helpful for you, especially if you tend to ink up a lot of pens. And, you know, some of them will have specific uses, maybe use them for drawing or sketching or art related. And then others you ink up because, you know, they're new pens or they're new inks and you just want to play with them and have fun with them. So I use that distinction that my currently inked pens are just like all the pens that I have inked up, which month over month, it tends to vary. Usually on average, I have about 15 is kind of my sweet spot. I've had more, I've had less. In the last few months, I've kind of been averaging around 10 to 12 inked pens per month. And I feel like it's less overwhelming for me to have it be less than more, just because I like to spend time with my pens, especially if I'm exploring them and getting a feel for them. And I do have a handful of pens that I just have inked up for specific purposes, and they just stay inked up month over month. So I don't necessarily want to do a spread with them and draw with them all the time or every month. So for this year, my plotter square, which I got at the California Pen Show last year. So it's been a year with this ring planner or ring book, ring binder. And this year how I'm using this is for hobbies related things. So, you know, I'll be taking this to shows and to meetups. It's great because it's portable, it's small enough, I can just throw it into my bag and it's good to go. But I'll be using it for swatching and trying out different pens and inks. And I have a section here that's for currently inked. So it's basically a running log of the pens that I'm inking up. And so I don't necessarily feel the need, there's a page missing. I don't necessarily feel the need to have a specific or a separate currently inked spread per month, which is what I was doing last year is, you know, once a month, usually in the second or third week of the month, I would take out all my currently inked pens and then just document or log them. And so by having a running log, I don't feel like I need to do it in a separate spread or in a separate way. So I am missing one of the pages, but that's okay. Now I'm like, where did I leave it? But anyway, so this is how I'm documenting currently inked. Oh, Neighbor Villain, how's it going? Thanks so much for the follow and welcome in. So I'm not going to do a separate currently inked, but we are going to do a notably inked spread, which I use a, thanks so much for the follow, Esteban. And welcome in. Artificial pen addict raid. I knew it by Apple Tater. I was like, something is going on. 2 follows within like a few seconds. Yay, welcome in. Welcome in, pen addicts. I haven't started anything, so you're just in time for me to do my notably inked spread, which I do every month. So we're just going to create one of these spreads where I do some drawing and log the fountain pens that I have inked up that are notable for the month. And so that means I'm having fun with them. They're either new pens, new nibs, new inks, or they're a new combination that I really want to have fun with and play around with. And so by documenting it in this way, first of all, it's aesthetically pleasing. It looks great. But also it's a great reference for me to look back on. And, you know, if there's a certain combination of pen, nib, and ink that really worked for me, it's a great way to sort of, you know, look back and see what I really enjoyed, what I liked, what colors worked for me. It's kind of interesting to see the palettes that I'm drawn to, sort of, based on the month, based on the season. So, hi, Archeo Pen. Hi, Tai Tai. My goodness, that's pretty. Oh, thank you, Exavon. That's a fantastic method. Thank you. Yeah, so I like to kind of go through pens per month and just kind of pick out like the top 8, especially if I have more than that inked up. But give them a little bit more, you know, of a spotlight, showcase them a little bit. So this is my way of doing that. And I call them notably inked because they're notable, right? They're, I ink them up for a reason during the month. And usually it's because, you know, they're new, a combination that I really wanted to try out. And yeah, and kind of play around with them that way. So, so we're going to do my notably inked for February together. And I use the Everyday book from Galen Leather. It's Tomoe River paper, blank pages. So that really works well for this kind of purpose. But it does come with guide sheets. So I use that because I cannot write in a straight line. So it is what it is. So yeah, I'll go through pens, the nibs that I have in them, as well as the ink or what they're inked up with. And yeah, feel free to ask questions or, you know, share your favorite pen for this month. And let me know what you're really enjoying as well. It looks delicious. It does look pretty good. So if you missed it, this is going to be my notably inked spread. So for last month, I ended up I documented or drew and wrote with all of the fountain pens that I had inked up for the month, just because it was for January and I kind of wanted to start with all of them. But month over month, what I end up doing is, instead of doing the spread for all of my currently inked fountain pens, which, you know, some of you have quite a few pens inked up. But even for me, when it's like, you know, above 12, it kind of becomes overwhelming to do, you know, a spread with them and draw with them all and stuff like that. So while this is my notably inked spread, my currently inked is a running log in my plotter square. So, and every time I ink up a pen, I just write down the pen, the nib, and the ink. So this is my running log of currently inked pens. And then usually mid-month, I sort of take out my pens and pick out the top 8 maybe, and then do the spread with them. So that's what we're gonna do. And I am going to start. So I have Mr. Leach to you. How's it going? Well, thank you so much for the follow and welcome in. Purple Square, Karina. Karina knows. Yes, my purple square. I love it. So let's see. I was going to look at all right. So we have a few pens here that I recently inked up with new inks to me. I'm trying to think color-wise which one to start with. So I have gray, I have green. Let's start with a red, and then we'll move on from there. Thanks for streaming. Oh, Matcha, thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. So my first pen that I'm going to write and draw with is the Esterbrook Estie. It's Estie Scarlet. This one's a fun one because I got it with a fine nib, but I'm more of a broad nib or broader person for writing. And I could only get a fine nib. So I took it to Kirk at Pen Realm and got it ground to a Waverly, which is similar to a Fude type of nib. If you can see, the nib is slightly upturned. And so you can get a lot more of the nib onto the paper. So I kind of like that because it's fun and it changes up the fine nib to be a little bit more broader. And so it puts down a little bit more ink. So it's also kind of fun to draw with. And that's why I do a drawing and I write with them. Just to get a feel for the nib and to see how it sort of reacts with, having to do those loops and drawings and things like that. So this pen I have inked up with Kyo no Oto Adzukiiro. So I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct. Probably not, but this one's a really nice ink. I got this a couple of years ago, but it's kind of this really pretty dark red burgundy wine color. It's a great match to the pen too. So it's a really nice color. It's not too red, which I don't think I tend not to write with red ink too much, just because it's red. So if it's, a darker version of that, leaning closer to burgundy or brown, I'm more likely to use it. So there's that. And then let me show you. This one is another Estie. And this one is the TheCoffeeMonsterzCo collaboration pen with Esterbrook. Very, very pretty pen. And the nib I actually got it with a journaler nib. So that's ground by Gina for Esterbrook. And but a journaler nib is a medium nib. So for me, when I'm doing, sort of just like stream of consciousness or morning pages type of writing, I like those broader nibs. And so I swapped in a nib that I had ground at the SF Pen Show last year by Kirk, and it's a Katana. So that's from a double broad stock nib. And it writes so nicely and juicy, and even from the drawing you can see it puts down a lot of ink. So and the ink that I have it inked up with is Sailor Shikiori Kamoshika, and it's this really pretty color that matches the pen. So it reminds me of like a latte or, coffee type of color. So you can see you can get a really nice broad line with this. And a Katana is a grind where you can get different line variations depending on how you're angling the pen. Similar or from the Naginata variation. So it's, if you write at a higher angle, you're going to get a little bit of a finer line. Whereas if you angle it closer to the paper, so if you're doing sort of cursive, or if you're sketching something, you'll get a broader line. Shikiori. It's really useful if you're printing and handwriting. It can give you those separate sort of, or different kind of looks, right? So it's kind of nice to use it that way. You can vary, you know, if you're writing a headline, or you're writing more information about something, that kind of looks good. Okay, so let's do my blues. Do you have to think about the angle while you're writing or drawing, or does it happen naturally? It happens naturally, Neighbor Villain. That's a good question. Usually I know what kind of line I want. And so being aware of the kind of lines the pen will make helps beforehand, especially because I could just naturally sort of angle it the way that I want to. When I'm writing, if I'm printing something, so I'm taking notes, then usually I have a higher writing angle. And so like with a Katana type of nib, it's helpful because I can write smaller, and so I can fit what I need to in a certain space. But when I'm writing like just thoughts or reflections, I tend to write in cursive because I write faster that way. Not worrying about grammar, not worrying about spelling and things like that, because it's just kind of getting my thoughts on paper. And for that, because I'm writing in cursive, my angle is lower. And so that helps to kind of, you know, enjoy the writing experience a lot more. Whereas, you know, like when you're taking notes or writing things down, it's just for the purpose of note taking or getting, you know, information on paper. But for reflection writing or journaling, I can do cursive. And so in that way, I can experience how that nib writes, what the ink looks like on paper as well. So when I'm picking inks, I'm kind of thinking about what pen I'm putting it into and what nib it's going to have and what the purpose of that pen is. Like, is it for journaling? Is it for writing? Or is it for note taking? And usually my pens that I have my broader nibs in are for journaling and for just for enjoying the pen and for writing for the sake of writing, if that makes sense. And so those tend to be the broader nibs and custom ground to sort of give me broader line variations. And just for that, for the purpose of, you know, enjoying that, seeing the ink properties, and kind of having fun with the pen. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about when I'm looking at which pens I'm going to ink up for the month. So when I'm thinking about currently inked for March, for example, a lot of times some of the pens that I have in my currently inked will always stay currently inked. So an example is my Platinum 3776. It has a UEF nib, so ultra extra fine needle point. I have Platinum Carbon Black cartridge in there, and I will always have that in there because I use that for specific note taking. And that's it. And it does its purpose, and it will kind of stay that way. And so I don't have to think too much about that. But then when I'm thinking about, you know, just some fun pens to ink up, like I haven't inked this up in probably, you know, months or a year at least. And February seems like a good time to ink up a red or pink pen. So when I'm thinking about, you know, what kind of pen I'm going to use, I'm thinking what ink would match really well with it. Like how am I going to enjoy it for the month? So that's how I kind of tackle my currently inked situation, or what pens I'm going to ink up. And it definitely helps to do these currently inked or notably inked spreads, because especially like, you know, you could doodle something, you can do, you know, the S's and waves and things like that. And part of that is because you're getting a feel for the nib. So once you get a feel for the nib, I think the more you use it, the more you just naturally know how to angle it and navigate what kind of line you want to get out of that. So I think it's the same for some of these pens where you can get the line variation, and just kind of practicing how to angle it. So this one is a Sailor Pro Gear Slim. It has a medium nib, and I use this in my traveler's notebook for just daily journaling, so daily writing. And yeah, I love the pen, so. And I have it inked up with Pilot Iroshizuku Amairo, which is a really nice bright blue. But I have a ink sample of it, and it's almost done. So I thought I would use up the ink sample, and looks really good in this pen. Love the look of this blue pen. Yeah, right? Looks so nice. I got it a few years ago. I think it's called Sunset Over the Ocean, and it's a limited, like North American limited release. But I got it because it looks like a lighthouse to me, or reminds me of a lighthouse. So kind of made sense for a sailor. Yeah, no worries, Naper Villain. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so let's keep going with the blues. Yeah, that is cool. This one is one of 3 vintage pens I have. I'm not a vintage pen collector by any means, nor do I know much about them, but I really like the looks of this. I got this at, I think, the California Pen Show last year, from Mike, or Mad Mercantile, Mike. And it's a Parker Maxima, and it has a gold nib that's a left oblique. And I thought, what a fun nib. Played around with it for a little bit, and I really enjoy these sort of different, unique type of nibs, because it just makes things like really interesting when you're writing with them, or, you know, for me, like when I draw with them or doodle, and this one definitely, I don't think I have the natural grip for a left oblique, so I don't necessarily need one, but I found it so fun and interesting. And you know, it is kind of like a Cursive-Italic, but very angled. And so, you know, if you angle your paper or your hand a certain way, then you kind of make the most out of it. You get the most out of this pen. And so this one too, I kind of had to play around with a little bit, because it definitely gives that feedback of like, you're not using this correctly, or, you know. But when it is writing, it writes a really nice stub, sort of broad line. And so it's really, really fun that way. And it writes really smoothly. So you can see those lines and those sort of edges that you get with like a Cursive-Italic nib. Okay, 1 second. All right, it's allergy season, so. Okay, the next pen is Pilot Custom 74. I think it's called Stone Blue or something like that, but it's a really nice colorway, and yeah, I like how it looks. So the Pilot I have inked up with this ink. It's a Hachimonjiya Ginzan Snow Gray, and it's this really nice sort of dusty blue-gray color. So if you're into that kind of shade, this is definitely a great ink. It's an ink I picked up at the SF Pen Show last year. One sec. It's an ink that I picked up at the SF Pen Show last year, and because Hachimonjiya was there, so I was like, I really wanted to try some of the inks that they had. How can it be allergy season if everything is frozen? Fake spring, Bart. That's when it happens. Fake spring hits, and all of a sudden, you know, bears are out of hibernation and allergies hit. It's weird. So this nib is just a broad, really great nib. As with any Pilot nib, really. So that's the ink. Really great fit with this pen. I like it. It's one of the lighter inks that I like to use, because personally I tend to be drawn towards darker colors, neutral colors, colors that are very legible, easy to read, and not that they have to be, you know, browns and, you know, blues and things like that. It's just that they have to be dark enough for me to be able to read it. Otherwise, I use it for painting. So I feel like this is one of those inks that I actually don't mind writing with, just because it's that really nice sort of gray shade. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Like I don't typically tend to go for a lighter color for writing, just because I don't like to strain my eyes. No, it's more so I'm not really drawn towards like the beige muted tones, but this is one of those exceptions, I think. So the next pen is a custom nib studio pen. So it's a collaboration between Gina and Schon Design, and it's called the Sashiko. And it's a really, really nice sort of classic sleek pen. It's very unique, but also it doesn't draw a lot of attention to it. So when when I first saw it, I was like, yeah, it's a great black pen. It's, you know, lovely. But then when I kind of studied the details and how much detail there is and how much uniqueness there is, it's just one of those pens I can't seem to not ink up, because it's just so interesting and such a great pen to use as well. Very well made too by Ian, so. And kind of matches with any ink, right? That's the thing about black pens, is you can put any sort of bright, fun color in it if you want to. But what I put in this is an ink sample I have. It's called Kobe Alice's Dream. So Nagasawa Kobe Alice's Dream, and it's really nice. It's like a blurple type of color, blue purple. And you get this really nice shading, which is more obvious when, you're drawing with it. And I just lost the cap. Okay. And the nib I have in here is a broad Cursive-Italic. And it was ground by Anabelle from Opus Cineris. Let's see. All right, Sashiko. So this is a really nice color, especially if you are into blue purples. I've been trying out more Kobe inks recently, maybe in the last year, because people have been sharing samples, and I've heard a lot more about Kobe inks, and which just makes me curious to try them. So love the drawing style. Thanks, Matcha. After rain, thought pollen. Yeah, pollen is the worst. I wonder if that's the same Alice Bunga box made an ink for. Maybe. Could be. Tears of Alice. That's the Bunga box one. Yeah. This is Alice's Dream. That one's Tears of Alice. Yeah, kind of nice. Okay. Last two pens, I think. And I'm going to do this first. Yeah. This one's a Pilot Custom 823. And I have it inked up with Edelstein Tanzanite. It's a big bottle. And so it's a nice dark color, which I think matches this Pilot pen really well. But it's like a dark blue. Blue-gray, dark blue-gray maybe. And it writes really smoothly too, so. And the nib I have in here is a signature nib, which is a rounded sort of stub nib. So it makes it really easy to kind of write rounded. So if you're signing with it or doing your signature, makes sense. But it's also great to journal or write with, because if you wanted to make your header or something stand out, you can do this with this kind of nib. And also drawing, it's really nice to, it's just an overall sort of smooth writing and drawing nib, I find. So it's always inked up, and also I don't like changing up the inks. And yeah, I've had it inked up with Tanzanite for a little bit. And I think I'm going to keep it there. Okay, last pen is the Kaweco AL Sport. It's a great pen to just kind of travel with you. It's portable. You know, you can stick it into one of your books and things like that. So it is a fine nib. So that's why I do use it just for note-taking or writing quick thoughts about something. I like drawing with the Kaweco because it is small. It feels very compact and easy to maneuver, for me especially. And you know, smaller nib is kind of cute, easy to draw with as well. So I'd say I probably draw or sketch more with this pen than I write with it, especially because it has a fine Or this actually is a double broad nib that I threw in. But I had a fine nib in there. And then last week, I think, I got a double broad nib because I wanted to try it out in this pen. And so I threw that in here. But again, it's a really great pen to draw with. So I have it inked up with sample ink, Diamine Earl Grey. You can see that. Just a really nice dark gray with like a purple tone to it. So I hadn't tried this ink before, and when someone offered a sample at a meetup, I thought, okay, sure, a gray. I like grays. But yeah, this gray is really nice. It's a dark gray that's not flat, if that makes sense. Sometimes you kind of get a gray that's just like gray. Seems a little bit, you know, standard gray, whatever. But this one has sort of a purple tone to it. Yeah, it just makes it a little bit more interesting. It's a nice gray, right? Like it's a little bit different than I think your stock standard gray. So I don't know if Diamine has, you know, a more gray ink, but I feel like this is like a nicer tone. So I've actually enjoyed using this ink. I might throw it into one of my other pens, but we'll see. So these are my top 8 notable pens for the month. Other pens I have inked up, and if you've seen me do my currently inked spreads on stream before, you may have already seen me write with these. These are pens that I always have inked up, so a Leonardo Memento Zero. This one has a reverse architect nib, also ground by Gina. Really, really nice writer and overall like a great pen just to journal with. And then I also already mentioned my Platinum 3776 with an ultra extra fine nib. And then just a great go-to pen, Pilot Vanishing Point. This one I have inked up with one of my newer ink bottles, Pilot Iroshizuku Zero. I had a sample of this ink, and just for some reason, I fell in love with it. Like I just really, really like this color. And this ink writes so well in this pen that I really like this combination. And so I had to get a bottle. Just to show you what it looks like. Right? Like it's just a really nice color. Similar to Edelstein Aquamarine. But just, you know, I like that shade. You have the same VP with an EF nib. It is such a fantastic pen. Yes, it took me a while to get this pen because I was always on the fence about whether or not a VP would be comfortable for me to write with just because of the clip. And so, you know, I watched videos about, you know, how people were using them, and I did notice a few people kind of said like, it is a little awkward, like it's noticeable if you're writing with it. And so I kind of was always on the fence about getting one because also they're not cheap. So when I did end up getting one, when I did finally purchase it, I love it. So I think it's, I don't actually notice the clip too much when I'm writing. I think it's just the way I grip it when I'm writing with it. So it's not in the way at all, and it doesn't bother me. But it's such a nice finish. The matte black is really, really smooth and sleek looking. So it's just one of those pens I don't think I'm going to not have inked up because, like, why not, right? Oh, Karina, have a good meeting and have a great rest of your day. You want a bottle of that Papalga? Yeah, I would do. It is, I'm so glad I finally got a bottle. Pilot pen and Pilot inks work so well, it's silly. Right, Matcha? There's obviously some sort of formulation that they've taken into account, right? Pilot inks work so well with Pilot pens. Similar to like Sailor inks work really well with Sailor pens. They've worked on the formulation for that to make them work. But almost to a fault, it's like I can't not use a Pilot, like a non-Pilot ink in a Pilot pen and feel good about it. I'm just like, ugh, there's something about it that I don't think I like. I think the exception would be the Edelstein Tanzanite or like any Pelican ink. It's like those inks are really, really good. So I think that's the only one I've encountered that I've thrown into my Pilot Custom A23 and actually really enjoyed. Whereas I've tried other inks, even Diamine, and they just don't, I don't know, they don't match up as well. Your students needed you, Papa Gal. I'm just seeing your comment. Oh, thanks, Tai Tai. I need Zodiac Penco to stop releasing such amazing pens. Yeah. You need to just ignore Bart. So you can afford to get inks. I know. Here's you just collecting pens. But also use up your sample inks, right? That's how I found inks that I really liked. And I was like, I need to buy a bottle. Actually, this was one of those where I had a sample ink and I was like, I need to buy a bottle. And then this was another one where I had a sample Kamoshika. I had a sample of this and I put it into my Estie and I thought, you know what? What a great combination of ink to a pen, which I don't always harp on that. Like I don't always need to have the ink match the pen completely because otherwise I would only be using, certain types of inks or certain colors of inks. But when they do, and you find that perfect combination, it's almost like, yeah, I found my pen piece, it's like planner piece. Just like this is how it's supposed to be. That's all. Other stuff works good too, but like it's special. Yeah, when it matches up like that, you know when it does, right? It's the feel of it. Like when I'm thinking about inking up pens for the coming month, sometimes it's, obviously if you get a new ink, you might want to play around with it. Sometimes it's some of the older inks or inks that I've had sitting around in my drawer for a little bit. And I think, you know what? Like there was a reason why I really liked this ink and I got a bottle of it. So why not play around with it? And so sometimes I do that, but it really is the feel of the pen, right? Like if you ink up a pen and you start writing with it and it clicks, it's like, it just works so well together. That's that kind of, that's the goal. That's what you want to reach, for me at least. And so when it hits, I'm kind of like, wow, this is it. It's hard to change that up sometimes. But on the other side of that, sometimes when I think this ink would work really well with this pen and I ink up the pen and try it out and then it doesn't, like there's just something off. Maybe it's not writing as well. Maybe it's hard starts or it's too wet and just kind of like bleeds all over the page. It's one of those things, like it could just be that combination of pen to ink. And you can try it in a different pen and play around with it, or, maybe it's just the ink or whatever. But, it's one of those, that's what makes it interesting as well. Because it's just trying out what you think is going to work and seeing if it does work. And then adjusting or re-inking. Like sometimes you find those combinations that are really nice together. And then I end up just re-inking the pen. And that's okay too. So, but this is notably inked for February. I like these spreads too because I can kind of look at them at sort of a high level view. Whereas when I'm inking on pens, it's not all at once, right? It's sort of, every few days or every week where I ink up 1 or 2 pens because I want to, or, I'm drawn to a certain pen. And it's kind of nice to sit down and kind of do the spread where you're seeing all your pens on one page or one spread. And it's very interesting because it shows me what colors I'm drawn to for that month, what colors I still like, right? There's sort of month over month, there's certain colors and certain shades that just keep popping back up. And I usually find over the winter months, I do tend to use a lot more neutral tones and earthy shades, lots of browns, grays, dark blues, that kind of thing. But then every once in a while, I kind of have the bright, fun color because everyone needs a little bright, fun ink in their life. Some of those lighter blues, teals, usually around fall, during the fall. So I'm going back in time. I tend to use more like olive greens, or like burnt reds, browns, yellow browns. But into spring, which is where we're headed now, I like to use brighter colors. So out come, the purples, the mauves, sometimes pink, depending if it's cherry blossom season. But yeah, orange. I'm not really an orange ink person, but I do like to throw that in there sometimes just to, just to have some fun with my lineup. So that's that. There's a lot of sort of the blues and browns going on here, but that's okay. It's just fun. Hi, it's Haley. How's it going? I explored ink in 2025 and settled back on black and blue blacks. Yeah, at least you tried, right? Yeah, I go through those phases too. It just kind of depends. Like, I have found that earlier on, I guess this would be sort of early 2025, but earlier on last year and previously, I would use bright, fun colors in my pens, kind of matching them up to the pen as well. But then I found that I don't need to ink up pens to enjoy the ink. So that's when I started to really lean into painting with fun, bright, bold colors, instead of, feeling the need to like save them just for inking up pens. So I think that's one of the learnings probably from last year, is that I can just stick to colors that I'm drawn to, neutrals, colors inks that I want to write with my pens, versus ink colors that, are really fun and just vibrant and have those properties, those shimmers, shimmer inks, some inks that have a little bit of sheen. Those are really fun to paint with. And I don't feel so bad about having those fun, vibrant colors and seeing them in, my painted pieces. So it's kind of a combination of those both kind of experiences, right? Writing with your pens, but also enjoying the inks in different ways. And I found that to be kind of my balance between the two. So if I have fun, bright ink colors and I don't feel like I need to ink up my pens with them, I do use them to paint with. So yeah, you found what you love. And I love when people, what I really like is when people use like muted beige, very light colors to write with. And I always look at those spreads and writing samples, and I think, I wish I was drawn to lighter ink colors for writing, because they don't stand out so much on the page, but they just look really lovely, really pretty on paper. But I know for myself, I just don't really like writing with those inks because as I'm writing, I like to sort of look at the ink. And if I can't see a lot of it because I'm using, just a broad nib or something, then it's like something's lacking. And so instead, I paint with those inks, and I like that I can put a lot of it down on paper and really enjoy it that way. So definitely kudos for trying, different ink colors and different shades. And that's where ink samples are really handy, right? Where you get ink samples, you can try them out, you can push your bound or your what you're liking, what you like. You push that a little bit and see if you're more into other colors as well. And if you're not, it's okay. It is what it is. Yeah. So I gotta no worries, Matcha. I have to head out soon too, but it was really nice to have you, and hopefully I'll see you in the next stream or another stream in the future. Enjoy your pens. Enjoy your pens. So yeah, I really like the spread. I think in terms of the type of inks that I picked for this month, I didn't do them all at once, but I feel like they kind of, they go together. And I think I can sort of work with this and try different ink colors for March as well. There's some greens that I'm missing, I think. I'd love to bring in some olive green shades and brighter, maybe teal colors, because I love those shades as well. But we'll see. So again, if you joined late and you missed my sort of intro on the California Pen Show, if you're going this weekend, have so much fun. If you are looking for tips or what to expect, take a look at my Substack post. I also have YouTube videos on my Pen Show recaps. Hopefully that's helpful. I definitely wish I was going this year, but instead I'm going to the SF Stationery Fest in March. So that's next month. So couldn't do two things too close together, but have fun. Check out Zodiac Pen Co. Say hi to Bart. Grab a pen or two. And yeah, overall, just have fun. If you're going to the show, have so much fun. Definitely will have FOMO. If not, I hope you have a great rest of your week. I will be streaming again next Monday. And Mondays are usually when I do journaling and drawing. And so you can join me then. We'll do a little bit of different, we'll use different stationery tools and markers and brush pens and stuff like that. So if you're curious about, other stationery tools and using them in your planner or journal, join me on Monday. It's a good time as well. Otherwise, usually Mondays and Wednesdays are when I stream. If I can't stream, I usually post an Instagram story just as an update. And yeah, so I'm trying not to have FOMO as well. Yeah, definitely will have FOMO. But if you go, share pictures and share your hauls as well. I like kind of seeing what people get and what people find at these shows because they're so much fun. But I think that's it from my end. If you're watching the Olympics, have fun. Good luck. Cheering on all the athletes. Yeah, it's kind of a busy time. So enjoy the rest of whatever you have planned or going on this week. And also, take out your fountain pens, have some fun with them. Do a currently ink spread if you don't have too many inked up, or do a notably ink spread if you have a lot of pens inked up, but there's, those handful of pens that you really just want to explore and play and kind of have fun with. Doodle with them, draw with them, just explore them a little bit, and then document them, because it's kind of fun, I find, sort of flipping through and seeing how those pens and inks and nib combinations worked out for me month over month. But thank you so much for joining and for being here, friends. I'm Corolla, if I haven't introduced myself yet. But, you know, that's why you're here. Have a great rest of the week, friends. I appreciate you. Have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.